Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to another Final Fantasy VII Remake news video. I've been kind of lax on these in recent months, especially considering how much new gameplay has popped up, but trying to get back on the horse, dissect some of that stuff, and even go back to some old stuff that I didn't make videos on, and at least share my thoughts on those things, as I am very excited for the rapidly approaching March 3rd. This video will be coming out around the same time we discuss the recent screenshots that came out, but this is something else entirely. You see, the Final Fantasy VII Remake development team has recently gotten sort of a formal introduction over on the Square Enix blog. We've already known a lot of these names and faces, but there's a little bit more information here, quotes from each of them, and some very, very interesting little tidbits that are going to be the focus of this video right now. Now, of course, we have Yoshinori Kitase, the producer, who needs no introduction and is a legend in regards to Final Fantasy. If you don't know who that is, definitely bone up on your research. Also, there's a great interview that's done with him, I believe, in a subway, where he answers some really interesting fanfiction related questions or fan theory related questions in the Final Fantasy universe, in which I just loved all the answers that he decided to give. Now, while there are tons of great quotes, tons of great things said by the various developers, producers, especially one that I really like here with Nojima-san, where he mentions that there's going to be less room for player imagination, which for me means much clearer storytelling, and hopefully it works out that way. And he is story and scenario, so that would be a fair assessment to make. The main thing that has people talking is the section on Tetsuya Nomura, where the quotes he provided give us a big insight into where they currently are in regards to the grand scheme of Final Fantasy VII Remake. For those who don't know, it is not one game. The one we are getting on March 3rd is the first part in an unnumbered amount of Final Fantasy VII remakes that will explore the entire world and establish new and budding storylines, as well as explain the current ones that we've come to know and love a little bit more in depth, or a lot of bit more in depth if you're going to be following what we have here. He starts the section talking about how he started up Final Fantasy VII Remake around the time of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, which is a long time ago. That is a long time ago that they actually contemplated starting the 7 Remake project. We'd gone through Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus, and I was planning this by myself for about a year as the 5th and final entry in the compilation, which we obviously know is kind of not going to work out considering it's going to be multiple parts. Since that initial plan and my first ideas, other projects took shape, became very busy as they moved forward, but I never stopped thinking about 7. As such, I feel like I'm looking forward to the release as much as anyone, as I've been carrying around these ideas for a long time. Opportunities for discussing our true intentions are few, but with regard to the size of the game that many are asking about, there's no reason at all to worry. Even in this Midgar portion alone, the density and volume are so great, I had to give directions to lighten them. So that's our first bit. Obviously, one of the biggest discussions regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake is the splitting of all the story portions into multiple games. We've obviously played the original when it came out decades ago, and so splitting it apart always felt kind of cheap to a lot of the fans. And you know what, even after that statement, even after saying there is nothing to worry about, I'm sure there 100% will be people who are still sharing those concerns. And you know what, I'd say to keep having those concerns, because until we get our hands on it, we won't really know exactly what we're in for. But we have heard that each of the Final Fantasy VII Remake games will be the length of a full AAA game. And while we still haven't gotten an exact number, or we haven't gotten our hands on it and don't know what that length is, the fact that they're continuing to reiterate it is very important. Now, even in the Midgar portion alone, the density and volume are so great, I had to give directions to lighten them. Now, of course, I don't think that means they're cutting away content for later Final Fantasy VII Remake stuff. I think it's a matter of how much of it is fluff and how much of it is going to push the game into a positive direction. It's great to have a million things that you can find and discover, but sometimes it takes away a little bit from the player's enjoyment and the narrative overall to do too many of these side features. Final Fantasy 15 suffered from having too much choice, and that the story that actually wanted to be told was easy to forget between the number of tasks that you could do between actually progressing the story. So if that's what he means by lightening them, that'd be great. I hope that's the case, and I'm confident that it will be. With regard to new characters, of whom I said in past interviews that there would be none, in quotes, though they aren't main characters, their numbers ended up growing considerably in the process of creating a rich depiction of Midgar. When you think of Midgar's final boss, you probably end up thinking of the motor, but in this game, new bosses will appear and add to the excitement of the story even more. Now, of course, we already know there are at the very least new characters that have been conceived, the most notable one being the soldier first class we see flipping around on the bike in one of the more recent trailers. A lot of people have been wondering who that is, why they're there, and we kind of understand that they're going to be diving more into Soldier, especially the first class, because there weren't just 1 or 2 people in there. It was supposed to be a whole subset of elite fighters. and it could help us establish some things regarding the Lenovo project and could expand the universe a little bit more. I'm reserved because the showboatiness of the guy doesn't really say that he's an interesting character. It just says that he's new and they wanted to make him have a flashy entrance, especially for the trailer. So hopefully those do enrich Midgar's story, especially Shinra's story in regards to Soldier and its current standing. Now also the note that there will be additional bosses. The big note here is that Midgar's final boss, the motor, may not even be the final boss of Final Fantasy VII Remake. This was something I had actually figured might be the case in the recent months, because I'm not gonna lie, Shinra, Midgar, there are some great bosses that take place throughout the initial chapters of Final Fantasy VII, but there's also just a lot of big robots that are just kind of there because Shinra has them. And so if you're really going to cap off the end of 7 Remake Part 1, the motor doesn't really feel like a disc-ending boss. That's kind of the way I judge it. The question is, will it be something Shinra related? Will it be something Sephiroth? Or will it be something Jenova related? We know that Sephiroth has at least some presence in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's playing a lot more to the psychological nature of Cloud and his history. So there's a lot of questions regarding that, but we will have more than just the new bosses we've seen. And we haven't even seen any of the new bosses, I don't think, in any of the footage that we've seen up to this point. Only some enemy models and some story elements that we may not immediately recognize, but may be able to dissect. Finally, the most important note here for me, we've already begun working on the next one as well, and I'm confident that playing through this title will expand your expectations just like the world that extends beyond Midgar. Until next time. Now that is for me the most important note. We've already begun working on the next one as well. Now I wouldn't go so far as to expect that it's very far along. It's probably already been storyboarded before this, and they've probably already started amassing assets for it. While the game's only a few months away, you have to imagine that those types of resources are probably available to begin thinking about the next game. I doubt there's going to be any major story changes or asset adjustments that are needed in the next 4 months. At least that would be my interpretation, but could be wrong. That being said, getting that confirmation is good because I want to live long enough to see the end of this series. So hearing the next one's going along, probably a good thing, because I don't think anyone wants to wait too many years down the line to see the next game in the franchise. I'm personally expecting 3-year breaks between each title. That is my prediction, that is my expectation. If it's any less than that, good, great, I was wrong, and that is better for myself and everybody. But anyway, let me know what you thought about the quotes that were said here by Tetsuya Nomura, and also I highly implore you, go to the blog and look at some of the other things that I've said. I already made mention of the less room for player imagination, but there are some other great quotes here from the other developers that are here. We just aren't going to talk about them all in this video. If I want to highlight some, we have people who worked on the original game. We have here with Toriyama, who does a scenario design, graphics and VFX director, Shintaro Takai, and I'm so bad with these pronunciations, which is why I always have to go back. Teruki Endo, obviously Battle, that's a huge thing. It's just that the Nomura quotes have been eclipsing all of this other stuff, as wonderful as a lot of it is. All of these people are doing some amazing work, and I would highly, highly advise to go check out some of the other quotes. And let me know if you think there are any other interesting ones that I should have included in this video in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned because we have more Final Fantasy VII Remake news coming up. Something a little bit smaller in the next video, but all the same, stuff that you should definitely be aware of. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, take care.